Hereby call the meeting together to order for the Commission Survey Committee. I apologize that I was late. I was just got in. But anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for joining the meeting tonight. We'd like to go over the final touches on the for the survey. I'm open to entertain any questions you may have. Let me pull up a copy. Actually, what we've done the last 2 months is that we've been involved in the final review. And the last review we had on the survey committee issues have been incorporated. And there's been actually no other input to that since then. Chair Oshiro made the last comment, which was also incorporated. Beyond that, I've not had any other comments from anyone concerning it. So we're ready actually to take it before the commission. Do we have any other further comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just before we get ahead of ourselves, you did call the meeting to order. We have 2 items before that, and one is public concern. So if you just want to open it up to anyone that wants to talk about something that's not on the agenda, that'll be the time for that.
Sorry about that. Yes, this is the time for public concerns. Anybody that has a comment or concern, we can bring that to the table now.
So this is Greg Misakian, Waikiki Neighborhood Board number 9, Subdistrict 2 Vice Chair. I don't know, Steve, if you were on when I was speaking on the website concerns. That was my main reason for joining tonight. Did you catch part of that, or did you come in right after I finished?
I caught the very tail end of it. That's concerning the website changes.
Right, and I'll be very brief so you guys can move on with this committee meeting. And I have just a question on the committee meeting. But basically, I'm here tonight because I was even trying to navigate to get on WebEx was a challenge. So there was a January meeting agenda with a link to your previous survey committee meeting, and that didn't work. So then I tried I finally found this one somehow embedded in there, and I joined this, but I couldn't join by WebEx. It was the first time ever that I'm calling in, not doing a Zoom or a WebEx. I'm calling in by my phone. Never had that happen, and I do meetings, multiple meetings weekly. So that's a concern. But the website, just for everybody that's here, Executive Secretary Yananaka and others, I wasn't aware that the website was rolling out. There's a lot of changes. We're missing an extensive amount of meeting minutes and agendas. The difficulty in finding this, the appearance for the public, and as I mentioned a moment ago, I just became president of Kokua Council, and we are advocates for our kupuna. It's not kupuna friendly. Getting up there in age 2, I'm a couple of years away from 60, and I'm concerned. And then the only question I have, so I'm done with that comment, and the question I have for, I guess for you, Steve, is on this survey, are you taking any inputs from any of the neighborhood boards, or are you just working on the survey and then we're going to get it and just take the survey at some point? I think this is for the board.
We have taken comments from various persons over the last few months. They have been taken into consideration. And those items that were applicable, the commission has said to go ahead and incorporate, and we've done that. Basically, the survey is for the boards. And after we output the survey through MailChimp, the board shall respond to that. And then those items will be taken into consideration by the commission, and the results will be published. They may consider them for the neighborhood plan, but that's up to the neighborhood plan committee. What we're doing is doing the survey and gathering information.
Okay. Well, I would add to the survey, if I'm going to get the question, would you like to be pre-informed about major changes to internet access, web portals, web information prior to rollout or after rollout? And I already gave you my answer, prior to. So this is the first I'm aware that there's a major change. I mean, I was shocked when I went in and saw the whole website was completely different. So that's just my comments. I'll stop there. I thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I'm just going to sit back for a little bit. I'll probably hang up in a little while. Thank you.
So noted. Thank you. I see a hand raised, Michelle.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I really am concerned about this comment about only board chairs receiving the survey. I firmly believe that all board members should receive the survey because some chairs are quite I don't want to use the word co-opted, but they're just I guess they may have their own opinions and positions, and yet they don't share uh, the equitable information with their members if these surveys are only addressed to them. So I would think, and I would recommend that these surveys go to every board member for every board member's input, because some of us have been members elected, officially elected to these community district boards for many, many years. And we know the process, and we know how the process has been undermined and changed recently since 2021. So we need to share this information with you to properly construct a neighborhood plan that benefits everyone, not just a few people. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah, we provided clarification. I'm starting to share the screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Commissioner Melendres, just for procedure, things that we do in the regular board meetings. This item, public concerns, is specifically for items not on the agenda. Can we continue this conversation after we get through the rest of the concerns and then the committee minutes approval?
Yes.
Yeah, great questions, but the discussion should occur during item 4, unfinished business.
Thank you for the correction. I'd like to have this
Agreed.
recorded as part of the next discussion. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so are there any other public concerns before we move on to approval of committee minutes?
Okay, hearing none, let's proceed then. Do we have any questions concerning the survey committee meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go ahead and, with your permission, we'll go ahead and Chair, we will publish them as is. Thank you. Okay, I've started sharing. Now I want to go ahead with the survey. Back to the last comment. The MailChimp's going to be sending information out because our protocol is to go through the chairs, but it's going to the chairs member and all the members. Okay, each member is going to be responding to the survey. That's important. So down here under the plan, the survey committee shall provide a survey via MailChimp to each board chair and members. So that's part of our protocol. I think initially we were thinking about going through the board chairs, but no, we changed that like early on for all the members. We want every member to support it. Okay. The results of MailChimp survey be evaluated by the survey committee, commission, and output into data and graphic representation for posting on the neighborhood committee website. Then I want to just address a moment ago what the first concern was concerning the changes on the commission website. I think it looks great, but agreed that usually when you do a rollout, notifications are made. That's just standard operating procedure, but it does look good. Things do happen. Results of the commission, maybe the results of the survey provided commission may be considered by the neighborhood plan committee in consideration of incorporating some items into the plan as applicable, but that's up to the neighborhood plan committee. The commission survey has endeavored to solicit data to consider areas which may provide insight to provide communication to improve the communication performance of the commission, the neighborhood boards, and the neighborhood commission office. Okay, this is our opening memo here, the preface. Do we have any questions on that? Okay, hearing that, we'll proceed. We've gone over through this before, so this is not new. This has already been gone through and vetted and accepted as far as age. All we're doing is the first thing we're doing is what I call framing. When you look out a window, you're looking through a frame, and the frame is what you're seeing. So we're framing this in the context of the commission, the board members themselves, how many boards served on, etc., the first year. And this is because we're trying to gather not just data, but the demographics of the boards themselves. How long we've been elected. I've been on for like 5 terms now on the neighborhood board for Mililani Mauka, other volunteer organizations. I have to comment that in my interface with our board members, I'm so proud of our neighborhood boards. They volunteer, they give of their time, just their talent, and so pleased at the quality of all of our board members. And yes, I think we maybe could use more training here and there, and that's part of the survey. But overall, I think we have a great group. Matter of fact, I've had other islands, especially Maui, has come back to me. Maui and the Big Island saying they'd wish they had this system in their islands. Matter of fact, they've thought about actually incorporating this for Maui. I was on Maui for 10 years before coming to Oahu. I've been in Oahu 20 years. And so we're really blessed to have the NCO system here in Oahu. Preference for neighborhood board meetings, person virtual hybrid. That's kind of like self-managing. We go into neighborhoods assistance and plans, preparation, distribution minutes. These are just taking a snapshot saying like how we're doing. That's normal. Can we improve? What can we do better? Things like that. Venue of council of chairs, in person, virtual, etc. This is also something that, since we're going for Lloyd to consider, since we're doing the council of chairs used to be all live, like personal. So you only could put so many people in the room. I've had several comments. Why don't we just make the council of chairs be the council, a big training session for all the members? Since we're virtual, we can do that. Go down to number 9, preferences and board education meetings, etc. Provide educational seminars, in-person, virtual. This is another. People will keep coming to me for more education, wanting to know how to do their job better. Neighborhood commission, item 10, office support. How are we doing? Too little, just right, too much. Very blanket vanilla statements. Concerning the commission, does the commission provide sufficient support? Once again, too little, just right, too much. These actual responses were drafted from I've had several input, but this is actually from a Yale University approach. It's just trying to capture the essence, not to sway it one way or the other, but to capture the essence of the support given. Members training, running an efficient board. This is a really good question here, board member training. We've had dynamite seminars on how to run efficient board meeting. Remember a few years ago during the Council of Chairs that Ms. Pa'anui from North Shore did how to run an efficient board meeting. It was great. Just we have such great talent among our group that's an area perhaps we should consider again. Olelo commission meetings. This is something I put out here because we had the question came to our attention. Can we also have Olelo supports commission meetings as they do the board meetings? But we do have the information online, and also we do have a Google Drive for the commission meetings. So we have good traceability. Neighborhood commission assistance. We talk about how many hours of support per meeting. This is actually, it's not a moot point, but the neighborhood commission office only allocated so many hours per meeting. And my neighborhood board in Mililani Mauka, we go do about an hour and a half per meeting. So some meetings may need more. I know that North Shore meetings tend to go long, but this is a meeting just to gauge how we're doing. And then we'll just count the numbers. Initial draft, we already have this. The board meetings minutes, agree, disagree, the draft. This is actually a policy statement where they do the draft and they go over the neighborhood board secretary to make the final touches before it's published. And that's known policy now. And so it does video recordings, summarize meeting minutes, sufficient. In talking in law, we've gone through this in several times where, and I also teach contract law and I advise the Attorney General office in my position with the state, but the actual written narrative of the board meeting is the legal narrative and recording, which can be gone to years later. for a court to look at if they want to. That's the main thing. But because we also have the video recordings to summarize, it's a great asset. It's a great asset. I have a question from Michelle. Yes, Michelle?
Thank you. The um, the difference between the written minutes and the state law is paramount. I mean, it's extreme. We have a section 92A, which requires fully written minutes that also stipulate the true reflection of the what the board and the participants have expressed. Yet nothing is expressed in our board minutes. It's only a summary of what was presented, and then questions, comments, and concerns are left and relegated to a recording with a timestamp. That way, none of our kapuna can understand what our board concerns were. And they have to go to some recording that they probably can't even access because they're not computer savvy. And this is not full public exposure and representation. Our minutes have been reduced to a pulp of what the neighborhood commission office wants people to know, and what we have expressed as concerns is not reflected in the minutes. And it also says in another chapter, section of chapter 92, that the recordings can be posted until the true minutes have been completed. And those minutes aren't completed until a month later. So we have lots of problems with the minutes. And we'd like to share these with you as a very respected member of the commission. So we will probably be expressing these in the survey, most likely as a full board, as a resolution, or we'll talk about it at the next meeting. And thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you. I just had a little technical difficulty in bringing this back up. I believe my sharing went back down. Is that Dylan?
Yes, I did just want to respond to the conversation about minutes. I thought we've had this at the
Yes.
Diamond Head board. But what Michelle is saying is correct, but that's only half of what the law allows for. There's a second part to that, and that just says if you post a video record, that is the primary record, but accompanying the video record must be they call it a written summary, but the requirements for that are very minimal. It is date, time, and place where the meeting occurred, who was present, and a timestamp of each item when it happened during the meeting. And the NCO we still provide a summary of those discussions from the presenters, and then we open it up for Q&A. And we've had a lot of positive feedback, but I just want to clarify that what Michelle was saying, there's a second part to that. So we are compliant with the law. We've ran it through OIP. We've been doing this for almost a year now. So I just wanted to clarify that, just so we're all on the same page. That's all.
Thank you.
Here-
Thank you very
Chair
much,
Millen,
Dylan. We have Michelle's
Greg.
hand up again. Just a
Okay,
second,
I'm sorry.
please. Michelle, go ahead and comment. And I want to
Yeah,
point out that
thank
this
you.
is the survey committee meeting. It's not having to do with administrative details, but
Yeah,
I will entertain another question in this area. Go ahead.
yeah, thank you very much. The two parts of chapter 92 conflict with each other. But there is a third part that says that the second part regarding the recordings and the summary with the timestamps is secondary to the written minutes that must be fully completed with the views of the participants. And that includes questions, comments, and concerns that are not reflected in the written minutes. The written minutes are deficient, and this has to be corrected, whether it's policy, procedure, or it's perhaps we have to talk to our legislators to clarify this, because the last Office of Information Practices director has left. She was basically bowing to the departments and not fully accounting for the law. And now someone has replaced her. So we will see what happens with the OIP. But in the meantime, the survey committee and the neighborhood plan committee, we are relying on this to bring forth the proper procedural elements for our neighborhood boards, which are actually community district boards representative of their constituents as formally elected representatives, not just appointees of the mayor. Thank
Understood.
you.
And thank you, Michelle. When you get the survey, there's areas there where you can make attachments also. What you're talking about is an administrative function. I think the NCO, by stating the secretary of the respective boards, has a final say-so on the meeting minutes. I know on our board they do all the time. They wait after the meeting minutes, and then our secretary goes through and does them case it, and then they're published. So it sounds like it's something administratively that we need to work on, and that's okay. We can work on that. It's an administrative item. It's not necessarily a part of the survey going out. And the survey does state, if you have additional comments, please attach them. We'll go through them. Great, thank you. And then we had another comment. I don't see a name. I just see a phone number.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Just to be brief here, I want to reiterate what Michelle said both times she spoke. I'm not an attorney. I guess I didn't realize, it sounds like you are an attorney from, if you're doing, or maybe not, maybe a professor, but you're of law, but you're an attorney if you're a professor. Are you an attorney, just so I can clarify that in my head, that you mentioned contract law?
I teach contract law for the state and for the federal government. I'm the contract expert for budget and finance. I'm the SME for ERS.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm procurement delegated, the contract expert and all that. So all I know is when I work with the courts, matter of fact, I've done this, I've done hundreds of contracts, and also debated this a little bit with the construction companies, because the construction company comes up and says, here's my drawing, I'm gonna build for the drawing. The court says, no, the narrative is the spec. So we're big on that. We know from the courts, the narrative is the spec. We know how important it is that we have accurate minutes too. So we know that's a given. So now how we work that out to make sure that everyone is satisfied is an administrative issue between the board's secretary and their assistant and the NCO.
Right.
But we already know that's a given. When you talk to construction guys, they say, give me the drawing. And I've did over 300 construction contracts, and they say, well, I'm going to build it for the drawing. I go, that's fine, but it's got to be for the spec. If it's not for the spec, it's not compliant.
Okay. So I appreciate that. My background is corporate. My last corporate job was director of quality for a very large company, but I worked for Defense Electronics too, and I'm very process oriented. I had a lot of process management training in my years. All I'll say is this brief, again, I reiterate what Michelle said both times, both concerns. Things have changed in the last year, and in my opinion, not for the better whatsoever. And again, I didn't seek the presidency of Kokua Council, but we are a longstanding Kupuna advocate, and we've gone to the Supreme Court. So we've had a pro bono attorney go against the Department of Health, actually, and win. So my position now is, I just adopted it. Someone resigned, and I just moved up the ladder, and I'm acting president. But I am going to, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody other than myself, but I do share concerns that our Kupuna are going to have difficulty with this, and I hear it from them. I have people reaching out to me. My phone number is not available. I think I'm going to add it. They find me somehow. They don't like the link to email me because they say it goes to this Outlook thing. It doesn't work right. That's another problem. I don't know if that's fixed on the new website, but they haven't been able to reach me, and they find me through other people. And long story short, I have many people saying they're concerned about what's being presented. I know other members of my board have concerns. We have lots of issues and problems, and they need to be addressed. And the proper way to address them is to communicate what's happening in the meeting. So I'll stop there, but the meetings are important.
Yes, I agree. So when you all get the survey, attach onto your survey responses any narrative you want, comments, especially in this area, and it will be taken to heart. Thank you. Michelle, you have another comment? Then we have to move on.
Only very briefly, you mentioned board secretary. What if the board secretary is totally incompetent and unresponsive to the concerns of the majority of the board members? Of course, you might say, okay, we'll elect another secretary, but meanwhile, we've got a year of this incompetency, and we need to have more support from the commission, from the neighborhood plan, and more definition in the neighborhood plan regarding the minutes and how to construct the minutes in accordance with the law. Even though the law is confusing, you can find the priorities of the minutes within the law. And that's all I'm saying.
Understood.
We've got to have some leadership here, not just incompetent secretaries. Thank you.
Understand. Well, perhaps we should have the secretary trained, and I would go through your neighborhood assistant to assist in that process, and also put that in the survey. That's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to share screen. I'm going to finish up the survey. Okay, I think we're back up. Okay. Okay, these are general questions. 70, what I like best about the neighborhood board, what I like least. I recommend the following to improve the neighborhood board system. Number 19, go ahead and put whatever you'd like there to make an attachment. We allow 2 minutes for neighborhood board, typical for the public testimony. Allow 2 to 3, is that sufficient, etc. NCO is contracted Olelo for video recordings. 3 hours for each meeting, is that enough? Please attach additional pages of recommendations for consideration. So we're open to suggestions. That's great. Our intent here, gather the information, we're going to give reports. Okay, that's our graphic representation and report. And then we can also do a narrative on that. And that'll be given. And we have the neighborhood plan committee meeting also, they're active. And so we'll be working with them on that. We're going to take this information, hand it off to them, and proceed accordingly. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Dylan, do we have any questions for the room there?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Let me turn the video back on. Go for it, Lloyd.
Hi, everybody. Lloyd Yoninaka, Executive Secretary, Neighborhood Commission. I have a number of questions or concerns or suggestions. And I'll just go through it, and we can talk about them as we go if you want. Just on number 5, you have listed board meeting preferences, in-person, virtual, and hybrid. Technically, there's only 2 options. There's no such thing as a hybrid option. OIP has basically stated they don't want us to use that word anymore. And the reason is, if you're in person, then yeah, everybody's in person. There's no other way to communicate. You got to be there in person. The other option is virtual, and the virtual option, the law requires a physical location in addition to the virtual option. So the virtual acts like a hybrid. So if we could just delete that word hybrid, because there's no such thing as hybrid according to OIP.
That's great, Lord. I'll take that in consideration.
Yeah.
We took that out once and we hit flack from it. This has to be able to be communicated across the board by our board members, and it is a hybrid by definition. OIP is not. If they want to come up with a policy statement, that's fine. But I need to be able to communicate with our members in a way that they understand it.
I understand.
That's why that's used.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So I think the question
is... They don't understand virtual. They understand hybrid, though.
Right.
Like a lot of the Kapuna don't understand virtual. They understand video.
So I think the easier thing to do...
I'll make note of that, Lloyd. Thank you.
the easier thing to do is when we put this question up, we explain that virtual meeting uses a platform such as WebEx, but also requires a physical location. And that is the
That's fine.
definition. That is the definition of virtual. So
That's fine.
it acts like a hybrid. So
I can put that in my opening statement in the memo. That's fine, sir.
okay. On number 7 and pretty much all items related to staff or evaluation of staff, I
Yes,
would
go ahead.
ask that you not put those questions in. I know I'm going to get feedback from Corp Counsel saying you really shouldn't ask those questions about personnel. And it's because the personnel are not, the people on the survey do not review or evaluate personnel.
Excuse me just a second.
So I'm just saying that I would like us to stay away from evaluating personnel in terms of how they're doing, how they're not doing, if they're excellent, good, or any of those things like that. I think we need to stay away from evaluating personnel. It's a little bit of a touchy subject. And part of the reason is the evaluation is going to be done not by people that hire or fire or provide raises for the personnel. They have nothing to do with the hiring or firing or securing personnel. And to be evaluated by them, I think it just crosses a line that I'm really not interested in crossing.
Thank you. We'll take that
Also-
consideration.
Yeah, also, concerning a chairs meeting, I think we can sort of ask it, but I, in terms of your preference, I would be very careful in how we word this because and other similar items, because I'm not really interested in providing or leading board members to believe they have a say or they can make a determination. I think that would be misleading if we say, and we ask you how you want to meet, and then we have to meet that way, or they believe that we will take their suggestion. Much of the time when we make decisions, it's not necessarily based on what is convenient for everybody, but what is practical from the standpoint of the meeting in terms of location, in terms of cost, in terms of timing. And it is ultimately the decision of the NCO. For many of the items that we have on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's also important for everyone to understand that the commission, obviously we work with the commission and they will work with us and we will work with them. But at the end of the day, the day-to-day activities of the neighborhood board system is the sole responsibility of the neighborhood commission office. As much as the neighborhood commission itself may have a lot of ideas or thoughts, they do not hire, they do not fire, they do not run the day-to-day operations of our office. So I think we should be very careful in terms of asking questions, especially if it tends to lead people to think that the neighborhood commission can make a decision about an issue or a personnel issue that is really not in their purview. So again, I just have a concern that we would be talking about personnel issues when the commission shouldn't, and we shouldn't be asking neighborhood board members.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But
Right.
these items here have been also asked on previous surveys.
I understand that.
So
I
all we're
understand.
doing is gauging how we're doing. So, but I can take that to heart. Thank you.
Well,
Any
I'm
other
going-
questions for anybody?
Actually, Chair, just a quick comment on what Executive Secretary said. I'm sitting here in a little bit of disbelief because this is a survey, and the survey should represent.
It's just a survey.
It's a survey, and you should be able to extend your concerns in the survey. I mean, we can do it this way, or we can publicly put it out, but I think this is a proper way to do this. And as you mentioned, it's been done before. So I'm sitting here and I'm not understanding, and I believe it's a little bit of a conflict of interest to actually, as the Executive Secretary, no disrespect for the Executive Secretary to make a statement as such that he doesn't want any comments, because obviously if there were good comments coming that he knew about, he probably wouldn't say that. if there might be some concerns, that's usually when someone raises a flag. If they're going to get kudos and accolades, I don't think anyone would say anything.
Understood.
So I'm done with my comment, but I think I
Thank
needed to interject. Thank you.
What
Appreciate it.
when this was, thank you very much. When this was developed, saying how we doing, so to speak, I was looking at it totally in the positive side, saying I've got 80% of my board saying we're doing a great job. We're excellent. We always say our people from I've been on 5 terms elected as in the neighborhood. I'm chair emeritus for neighborhood board, Milani Malka, and our board just comes along. Neighborhood assistant Dylan does just fantastic job. Our support is sterling. A little support is great. The meeting minutes go out fine. So if there's things that need to be ironed out in the system, that's okay. That's life. That's what we do. We work together to help provide resolution for win-win resolutions. So I understand both your comments on that, and we'll proceed accordingly. We'll take it to heart and proceed accordingly. Okay, guys, any other questions?
Yeah, I got about 20 more, but I will.
Do me a favor, just email it to me. I said that 2 months ago.
Okay, I will.
Any comments, just email it to me, because if not, we'll be here. It's right now we're getting ready to present this as a commission, so I should have had an email before, but I'm glad to email to entertain the email.
I was just going to ask you. I know
Please.
the chair Richard had asked a couple of items to be deleted. Are we going to delete them, or is not going to be deleted? Item 15 and item 19, I believe he asked to be removed.
I'll go back through his comments, but I believe they were taken care of.
Okay.
Can you see me? Chair Melendres, I
yes,
had
please.
to just re-log on. I missed a lot of what Lloyd had to say. This is Mahia, and with the committee, I'm the only one here tonight. Everyone else from the committee is absent. I've reviewed this survey before I even was appointed to the committee, and I thank you for putting this survey together. But every time I look at it, I have not been able to add anything to it. I strongly believe that the survey, written as it currently is in its draft form, as well as your letter, I strongly believe that now that you have a committee of 4, yourself, John Ching, me, and Claire, as well as our chair, Richard, I strongly believe that we need to sit down together and have more meetings than this when everyone can be present and start this all over again. I cannot support the survey as it's currently written, because it did not really have everyone's input and collaborative effort from the beginning, because there was no committee other than yourself and John.
Let's go ahead and take that in consideration. I don't want to take and disregard the comments that I've had over the last several months from a number of people. So we don't want to restart. We're not going to do that. Okay. So the best thing to do, like the same thing I just told Lloyd, email me your comments and we'll go through it again. And we had other meetings where you were not present for whatever reason. Let's go ahead and just do a sit down meeting. Email me your comments and let's have a sit down meeting and hammer it out. And let's have Lloyd there. Let's get this done. It's been on months now. So let's just do it. And we'll be glad to go ahead and do that for you. Okay. So Dylan, is there anyone else with comments in the room?
No one in the room here.
Okay, so we're going to have one more sit-down meeting, and then we're going to go to. I've just mentioned to everyone, email me your comments. We're going to take those comments and hammer them down into the narrative as required, also with Cheryl. And then we're going to bring it before the board for publishing, because this has been a long time. And I know that people maybe for one reason or not wasn't in attendance, and that's okay. But we don't want to scrap this and go ahead. That's unacceptable. So I really value everybody's comments and those that have commented before on this, okay? I've had great comments from a number of the board chairs about what we're doing here. And when you go about doing this type of survey and comments, you're going to take comments, positive and negative. That's fine. That's what we're here for. Okay, guys. So Dylan, if you'd be so kind to set up one more meeting before you present this to the commission, that'd be great. And then just email the survey committee representatives and just poll them and see when a good time it is to have the next meeting, and I'll support it. Okay, guys?
Yeah, Commissioner Melendres, can you just email me? Let's talk tomorrow. We'll have to pick a date. I don't want to just pick a random date without your permission and then make sure it works for everybody. So let's start that conversation. I can't just schedule a meeting. That's outside of my role. So let's talk about this after this meeting.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, everyone. Any other comments or concerns at this time that we should address? If not, then Dylan, I'll talk to you offline from this meeting, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting as of 7:05. Thank you. Thank you for everyone's help. Appreciate you.